All right, today on Free Field Training, we're going to be talking about checking the area. This is from our police training series. It's kind of the 101 level stuff, the stuff you need to know. They don't necessarily teach at the police academy. Give you a little life experience to try to up your self-initiated field activity and get you a better self-initiated field activity when you're out there on patrol. This is mainly meant for police officers. I'm sure it is always very applicable for security guards, especially those that patrol some of the rougher neighborhoods, which I know quite a bit about. So you get the call of shots fired or a fight or something else suspicious in the neighborhood. You respond out there and you don't see anything immediately. There's no people fighting in the middle of the road. You're not hearing anything. You're not seeing anything that's completely out of the ordinary for the area. We're checking the area then. And what does checking the area mean? We're going to be looking for signs that something happened and signs that something very bad happened that we're now responding to. Especially shots fired and fights. You'd be surprised how often we get there and everybody clears, and then in the morning they're like, oh, look what we found! Or, somebody comes in an hour later and says, oh yeah, I was beat up in the road. So we're going to start off with the most obvious thing that we need to be looking for, and that's bodies. We need to be looking for bodies, and that's not always easy. A person laying on the ground is what you're looking for, and if we're looking for a person laying on the ground, we're expecting to see arms and legs and a torso. Whether that person's alive or not is immaterial. We're looking for things that are out of place, that are lumpy, that are the size of bodies. So if you see something that kind of looks like a plastic bag sitting over by the curb, hey, go check it out. Make sure that it's actually just a plastic bag sitting in the street. It's kind of odd in urban and suburban areas to have things that are going to be the size of a human body that are just kind of like laying on the curb, laying on the sidewalk, laying between houses especially. With this one, get out of the car or shut the radio off, roll your windows down if you need a large area to cover. But it's always best to get out of the car, walk past that row of cars that's parked on both sides of the road, look along the curb, get out, look between buildings. Part of the reason you want to get out of the car or shut the radio off and roll the windows down is because you might hear people yelling for help. And that, even the FBI would call a clue. You hear somebody yelling for help, you know there's a direction you need to go into. You could have somebody that's seriously injured. Now, while we're looking for bodies, we also need to be keeping our head down on the ground in the area in front of us with our flashlight and be looking for drops of blood on the ground and also personal effects that people might have. We're going to get into some of those personal effects up here in the future, but if you're out of the car and you know that this is kind of the area that you're in, let's say you have ShotSpotter, you have somebody say, hey, I saw somebody shooting directly in front of my house. You need to be out looking around, and some of the things that you're going to be looking for out there, of course, shell casings. Now, I have a whole video on looking for shell casings. I'll link that up there and down below. You should check it out. There's some techniques to looking for shell casings that makes it a little easier, especially on flat concrete. But you want to be looking for shell casings. Shell casings can be sometimes very easy to find, and sometimes they can be very difficult to find. Very small 22 caliber shell casings in grass are very difficult to find. Very large, like 45 caliber or 10 millimeter shell casings or rifle casings that are sitting on concrete or asphalt are fairly easy to find most of the time, especially when they're brass or they're a nickeled casing. They tend to reflect light back a lot at night. These things are easier to do during the day, but let's be honest, when does this stuff happen during the day? Not very often. Well, it does happen during the day, but that's not what we're going to be training expecting. Expect to have this stuff happening at night and to be finding these things at night. Flashlights become a big thing. Whole video on that. Shoes and tumbleweaves. Everybody's favorite, the shoe and the tumbleweave. When people get into a fight, for some reason the weave in the hair tends to get torn out and left behind, and also shoes tend to get lost. And I guess this is because people don't know how to tie their shoes. I don't know what it is. I see people walking around all day and they've got untied shoes and they're walking down the street. Well, anyway, shoes and tumbleweaves, if you get a call of a big fight and you see a weave laying on the ground, good chance you're in the right area, unless it's just one of those random tumbleweaves. Generally, you can tell by whether or not there's leaves and twigs or garbage stuck in the tumbleweave. An older tumbleweave is going to have sticks or leaves or garbage depending on the time of the year, whereas a fresher tumbleweave is going to look like it just fell off the head. It's going to be fairly clean. Shoes can sometimes be difficult to find. They'll end up underneath cars, but most of the time when you find shoes, if they're black shoes at night, it's going to be kind of hard in shadowy areas. That's why we got to get that spotlight out, shining it around. Also, things we need to look for: wallets, backpacks, and weapons. You'd be amazed how many times I found knives or guns laying in gangways, between houses, laying in alleys, laying especially up against curbs, between cars, even on top of cars. Things get thrown all sorts of different directions when this type of stuff happens. So keep a lookout for all of those. Backpacks are more during the day, directly after school. You have kids fighting in the middle of the street. They'll shed backpacks. You also get t-shirts laying on the ground, stuff like that. So keep an eye out for those. And then, of course, damage. Damage is huge and also really embarrassing when you don't notice it and it's something obvious. So you get that spotlight out and start shining it at anything that might show damage to you. So houses with vinyl siding, especially white vinyl siding, you get holes and cracks. If you got good eyes still and it's up close enough, you can see it fairly easily from the street. But what you really want to get in the habit of doing is get that spotlight out, get those alley lights on, those takedown lights, those high beams out, and start looking at glass. Glass has this reflective property where it only reflects back to you if the glass is still there. So if a window gets shot and it gets broken completely out, when you shine a light at it, it won't reflect back at you. Also, when you shine a light at glass and there's a hole in it and it's spidered out, the hole in the spidered out area is going to look darker than the light reflecting from the glass. It makes it very easy to find holes in glass. You shine that spotlight on it, or if you're out of the car, shine your flashlight around, get it up in those windows and see if you find broken glass anywhere. So those are 4 real easy things for checking the area. They're going to make you a lot more efficient at it. Make sure you use that spotlight. Anything that's big enough to be a body, go check it out. Get out of the car, roll your windows down, shut the radio off, listen, and then once you realize that everything is not dangerous anymore, start looking on the ground for your tumbleweaves, your shoes, your wallets, your backpacks, your weapons, packs of cigarettes. How often you have somebody leave a full pack of cigarettes on the ground? That's not a normal thing with the price of cigarettes now. Shell casings, we have a whole video on. Go check that out. And damage, make sure you use that spotlight. Also your alley lights, your overheads, every light that you can after you realize that the situation is not still live. So until next week, you guys be safe, take care of each other. Stick around at the end here, and we're going to take the comments and questions from the YouTube live stream that we're doing as I'm shooting this video. So that way you guys can see all of their comments, questions, and suggestions, and hopefully we get some good commentary from them. 2 Average Noob says, I've heard for shell casings to put the flashlight parallel to the ground and you can see casing shadows better. Is this true? It is true, and that's the crux of the video that I'm pointing to. For more on that, check the video up there and or down below. I'm going to put links to all of that. J1559 says, tumbleweave, shoes, and crushed packs and Newports. If it is a fresh pack, the fighting will be worse. That's true, man. That's very true. Love the channel, man. Keep it up. Yeah. Your packs of cigarettes, people don't. I have very, very rarely ever found a fresh pack of cigarettes sitting on the ground. If it's fresh, likely that's where your incident happened at. Abzo YT says, do you carry a +1 stock Glock magazine or normal 15 round one for your G35? I'm still carrying a 40 caliber G35. It's kind of my best bet with the ammunition I'm required to use at work. Got a whole video on that. You know, why cops use 40. Gunshots. Well, that's fun. Anyway, there's a whole video called Why Cops Use 40, and I'm using the stock 15 round Glock 25/35 magazines for that pistol because I found those to be the most reliable in the gun. The 22 round ones do work really, really well, but they're a little more awkward to carry around, and they stick out far from the gun. I guess I could use them on a reload, but then you're using 2 different types of magazines, it kind of becomes a mess. I don't like plus anything mags because I found that long term the reliability suffers on them, and with a duty pistol, this isn't competition where we're losing points. This could be me losing my life, so I just go with whatever's the most reliable thing to use on that gun. Abzo YT says, I'm speaking about the Glock extended magazine with pinky extension, 17+2, G22+1, not any aftermarket stuff. Is this one less reliable than normal one? I haven't found any extensions on magazines that aren't less reliable. When you add an extension on a magazine, you're extending the size of the tube, but you're not increasing the weight of the spring, at least not normally properly, to account for the extra distance that spring's going, which means the first round coming into the mag is either a little tighter than it normally would be, or the last round coming out, it's a little looser. And we don't want to be messing with spring rates with guns. We leave everything stock as much as we possibly can. And the reliability drop that you get for a little bit of an extension is not a big deal for a competition pistol, but For a police duty weapon, I would rather go to a longer stock magazine than add an extension onto it, even ones that are, marketed as a factory extension. Just give me my stock 15 round mag. I know it works. Now, if somebody wants to send me an extended mag, and I will throw it in with my training bag of mags, and they can tell me, hey, this one's just as reliable as the stock one, that's great. I'll give it a try. I haven't seen anything that's that reliable yet. Tactical Mall Cop put $5 in the Donuts Fund and said, here's some donut money, cheers. Cheers to you. I really appreciate it. Liam McClam says, examples for security, check the area. Yeah, same stuff. If you get a fight, even if you work at like a shopping mall or a housing complex, you get a fight, a call of a fighter, shots fired, and you're the first ones there, same stuff. Absolutely the same thing. You might be a little more restricted. Most vehicles being used by security don't have those overhead lights. They don't have alley lights and stuff like that. If you do have them, that's great. You still want to use them. Lots of security companies don't put the time and effort to put spotlights in. So it's sometimes a little more important for security guards to use and have available a couple different types of flashlights. We've looked at a bunch of them on the channel before, big floodlight flashlights, because while cops will have the car and a lot of equipment mounted to the car, a lot of security companies don't provide that. So it's a very excellent question. You want to do all the same stuff, but you may have to bring more of your own gear. B says, love your videos. I am a security officer, and your training videos helped a lot with my profession. I'm happy to help. Please give me some suggestions, especially stuff like this. Hey, how do I do XYZ? Let me know, because that's something I can just bang out in the garage really fast. Jade Helm 2880 put $2 in the donut fund and just said free field Krispy Kreme. Thank you very much. I appreciate Jade Helm 2880. I wish you'd asked a question. Actually, I think you did earlier. B, who asked a question that I answered, put $5 in the donut fund. Thank you very much, B. I appreciate that. B says, is there anything you were taught at an academy level that didn't ever apply in real police work? Yeah, lots of it. Lots of it. Most of the defensive tactics stuff I was taught in the police academy, this like gooseneck and then transfer it around and then hit. Garbage doesn't really work in real life. Hiding behind the door of the squad car, that doesn't work in real life. Parking on the street and then walking up to someone who you think is going to run away, that doesn't work in real life. They were really worried about liability and teaching you things the way your chief would want them done in an ideal world, and not so good at teaching you to like stop short and hop out on people and throw them up on the hood, which is what works in real life. They specifically told us not to put people's hands on the hood or on a wall at the police academy, which is just mind-boggling looking back at it. And I hear people talk about it now, and they're like, well, they have something to push off from, and we work in a jail, and you're like, dude, you don't know how to put people's hands in a car. You don't like, hey, put your hands on the car and just let them stand there normally. Like, put their hands in the car, you pull them all the way back, kick their legs apart so they're all like on the ground, like hanging over the ground so they can't push up off of it. Like, you got to know the proper way to use the technique. Let's see if there's anything else. All right, that's it. That's the end of the stream. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. Stop by for the stream. Follow me over on Instagram. We do lots of these live streams over on Instagram. Thank you for everybody that stopped by for the YouTube live stream when I originally shot this, that threw comments and questions down there. I really appreciate all of you. Until next week, you guys be safe and take care of each other.